365. Hey everybody, it's me, Petey Peterson. Oh man, we are not ready for the scoops today. I haven't scooped this hard since my first week at Dairy Queen.
Here's your peppermint!
Here's your peppermint! Good old co-workers. Anyways, let's talk about the party booper glooper pooper, or something like that. I don't even know. I don't go off scripts. You guys know me. I like to live on the edge. Anyways, here's Jeff Slob. That's right, it's Jeff Slob, everybody.
Hello, hey, how's it going?
Now, Jeff, you claim to say that you know all about Nintendo's 2023.
I'm a credible insider in the Nintendo community. I am so reliable that I am the best insider. I know, oh my gosh, you're excited that you even have me. Are you going to ask me some questions? Are you going to ask me about the Metroid Prime trilogy and upcoming games?
Well, I wanted to ask if Mario Tennis was getting any DLC.
Oh, the only DLC that game's getting is... I don't even want to think of an acronym to DLC, because that takes work just besides just going on Twitter and throwing things at the wall. But here's what's coming.
Man.
Here's what's coming. The Metroid Prime trilogy. Are you excited for that?
I'm so excited! Oh my gosh! Metroid Prime! I have never played a game I've never played any of the games, but I'm still excited regardless!
Well, you bet it's coming. I've been guessing it for years, so I'm gonna keep on guessing until it happens. And we're also getting F-Zero GX Remastered. How does that sound?
Oh my gosh! I've never played that game, but it sounds awesome! I play Captain Rainbow and Smash all the time!
We're not just getting Metroid Prime Trilogy. We're getting Captain Rainbow. We're getting Star Fox. We're getting every Nintendo franchise. And if I get one answer right, I'm a credible insider, and you know it. So if you dare question me, you are wrong. You are a Nintendo denier.
That's a little... I don't know about your source about the Captain Rainbow game, because Captain Rainbow's game is F-Zero.
I am the source. Now you stop questioning me. Well, anyways, guys, I appreciate being on the call, but this bird really doesn't have much of a brain, so you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go back on Twitter.
Mario Strikers DLC coming back?
That's over, bro, just like this interview. Alright, guys, I'll be back on Twitter, just throwing things at the wall, and if I get one thing right that I predicted, quote-unquote, then I'm a credible insider. Oh, wait, I already am. Hey, Nintendo news outlets, gonna report on me. Whoop, whoop.
Well, I guess we better start the show. Roll the logo.
You are now watching The Beach.
What the heck was that? Why do all these discussions have some insane intro? It's like the circus is taking place at my house, but without all the drunken clowns that have hepatitis. Donkey Kong Country 3 does not have circus music. That's just the first level.
Yeah, but you know what you said the other day? Not great music could prevent people from playing good games.
Yeah, especially for Yoshi's Crafted World. But anyways, we will be doing our predictions for Nintendo's 2023 about upcoming games, upcoming things such as DLC, maybe some other games on Switch Online, you know, stuff like that. And before starting this off, I just wanted to say two things. For one, the opening segment was pretty much just a jab at all the rumor channels and stuff like that, and just the rumor mongering that's in the Nintendo community, and it's insane. So, essentially what goes on is someone or some rando, usually on Twitter or Reset Era, they'll say, oh, something's coming, and if they get one answer right, then, yeah, then I guess they're a reliable insider. And I think I stopped listening to rumors and really have questioned leaks ever since Artsy Omni's Rayman and Smash 4 leak. That completely changed my outlook. If you don't remember it, he made a render of Rayman for Smash 4 and passed it off as DLC, and it looked so realistic that everyone thought it was real. But ever since then, I've questioned a lot.
Yeah, I remember it, and I actually remember that Artsy Omni responded to one of your flip notes on it on YouTube, which you can still find.
I think so. And he also commented on one of the Mario Kart Live Home Circuit videos that I did. So, Artsy Omni, if you're watching this, love your work. Also with the Earthbound 3, Mother Earth 3, Earthbound 2, whatever it would be called. I saw the fan trailer that you made, and it was phenomenal. But also there have been other stuff,
really good.
like, I don't know, do you also remember the NX controller leak where someone 3D printed that oval-looking controller with the thumbsticks in the screen?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Now, I didn't believe it, but still, just seeing the process for that is fascinating. But with those kind of rumors, some work goes into them. But with some rando on the internet just saying, oh, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, all that you really get is Switch Force making a video about it. So, with that being said, getting into our predictions, I have quite a few predictions for this year, and you do as well, but one thing that I used to do in predictions is just base things off these ridiculous trends that I came up with in my mind. Like, I think in 2019 I said something along the lines of, oh, it's 20 years since Donkey Kong 64, they gotta do something with Donkey Kong, therefore Donkey Kong will probably be in 2019. No, that's stupid. Looking back at it, yeah, I was a teenager back then, and probably didn't know much better, but it's just, looking back at that kind of stuff, it's just ridiculous. So for these predictions, I wanted to make sure that there's at least some merit to them, and just some reasonability. So I think the list I have is quite good, and our lists are similar, but if you agree or disagree with any of them, I'm very excited to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, let's get started with it.
So to start things off, I think we'll start off with, just the basic stuff we already know is going to happen. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Fire Emblem Engage, what's keeping you engaged? And Pikmin 4. These are 3 solid titles that are releasing next year that we know of already. So already, we're off to a pretty good start. I wonder when Pikmin 4 will come out. Pikmin 4, it's still just mind-blowing to say that, because it's been a decade since Pikmin 3 released. But Fire Emblem's coming in January. I will say with Fire Emblem, it's not my cup of tea, and I will kind of question why there are so many Fire Emblem games, because those saying go play, or me when I only like Mario or Scrimbler or whatever the hell they're saying, they don't realize that. Let's see what they got. They got Fire Emblem 3 Houses, then they got Fire Emblem 3 Hopes, and then there's Fire Emblem Engage within 3 years. And for Mario, there really hasn't been a mainline entry, and Donkey Kong has nothing. But, beyond that, Fire Emblem's a very high-quality series, and it's getting another entry, which is cool. If you're a Fire Emblem fan, you're probably eating really well. And Pikmin 4, that doesn't have a release date yet, but all this stuff is confirmed. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is coming in May. So, yeah, I think those are pretty much definite. But do you think any of them will get delayed is the question.
I don't think Zelda's gonna get delayed. I think that's pretty set in stone. Pikmin's just had, a really interesting history with delays, so I wouldn't be surprised if that got delayed as well. Everything
sometimes
else,
they gotta delay games. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah, me too. But I think, overall, everything's going to come out this year. The Mario Kart Booster Course Pack is going to finish in 2023. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe in February will be pretty good. And yeah, that's pretty much all we know about 2023, really.
Well, we're probably going to get some games on Nintendo Switch Online. They already confirmed GoldenEye, Mario Party 3, stuff like that, and I feel like now would actually be a good time to talk about, is there any potential for Switch Online to get some new systems? Because everyone was talking about Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Color, but, I think at this point, I really don't see it happening. I think that they're pretty much just going to focus on the rest of the Nintendo 64 and Genesis stuff, and then after that, they're probably just going to move on to another sort of service on their next console, which we'll get into, but I'm curious to know where you stand on it.
Well, I can't really get into it too much because it'll spoil what we're going to talk about towards the end, but what I will say and touch upon is that I don't think they're going to introduce anything like a Game Boy. They might. Listen, we might get Game Boy Advance games. We might only get, 15 Game Boy Advance titles for the year. But, I just don't see it. Because to me, it seems like, and again, we'll talk about this later, but Nintendo seems like they're slowing down. That's all I'll say right now.
And I feel like, yeah, with the online service, I feel like they're just going to focus on N64, because there's still a lot of games they can put. Thanks for getting me the expansion, by the way. I'm currently part of his family membership, and I gotta say, and this isn't being ungrateful, but the selection of N64 games, there's like nothing there. It's paltry.
Yeah, it's pretty crap. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I'm surprised. I was surprised at the collection beforehand because I haven't been keeping up with the 64 games. I mean, I've been playing Mario 64, but I already have that on 3D All Stars, so.
And the 3D All Stars one's
whatever.
better. It's the Shindo Paktai version that has the rumble and I think a few quality of life improvements. And I know some people say, oh, you can't speedrun, but just for general gameplay, that's the one I prefer. And it looks better too. You don't have the microwave border. But I feel like Switch Online, it's pretty much just going to be N64 games. But what about some games that haven't been announced yet? What about stuff beyond things like The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Pikmin 4, the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC? What could we see next year? Honestly, I don't think we're going to get that much. But I do think that these two are pretty much a guarantee, and they are Mario games. So, the first one is going to be a tie-in to the Mario movie. I think it just makes sense. I also think it would be likely for it not to happen because it makes sense, and Nintendo, they like to go against logic. But I also feel like, yeah, it is likely. So, for what this Mario game is, they could go for a 3D Mario game, but there's been reports of a 2D Mario game, which I don't trust, but I feel like now would be the time for a 2D Mario game, considering the last one that wasn't a Maker game or Super Mario Run was New Super Mario Bros. U in 2012, a decade ago. But this time around, they would really have to make it a new experience because 2012 was a long time ago, and since then, platformers have really evolved. Even at the time, New Super Mario Bros. U was not a game that was pushing any boundaries. It was a very standard play-it-safe 2D platformer that pretty much felt identical to New Super Mario Bros. Wii, which was based on New Super Mario Bros. That released in 2006. So, safe to say, they actually got to make this new 2D Mario game new. What do you think they're going to do with it?
Well, I don't think any 3D Mario game is coming out next year. I will be shocked if it did. Again, I'll talk about that later on, but I do think a new 2D Mario is very likely to coincide with the movie. I don't think it's going to be a tie-in game in the traditional sense where it's like it takes place in the the movie's universe, but it will share, general, maybe not aesthetics, but like ideas across the board with each other.
It'd be cool to have a game where they have the designs for the Mario characters from the movie.
I disagree. I think the designs from the movie fit the movie. I don't want to see it in the games. I mean, in terms of textures and stuff, sure, but not the redesigns of like the proportions and the character faces and stuff like that. But with that said, I do think a new 2D Mario game is coming soon. When? I don't know. I would say the perfect time would be around April to coincide with the movie, but this is Nintendo. They're unpredictable. We'll see. And yeah, I actually do have a little prediction to throw in there since we're talking about the Mario movie. I think if we don't get that 2D Mario game, or if we do, I think what's likely is that we're going to get some free DLC for those who bought the expansion pass that adds new characters for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So basically the characters that are in tour right now. So I would say maybe a push for the other Kongs, since there's a lot of Donkey Kong love in the new Mario movie.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, and perhaps maybe, let's see, Pauline, since it seems like she's going to be in the movie. I don't know, something little like that would be cool.
Yeah, and the characters and such. It's very easy to port over characters from Mario Kart Tour to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and if they added some additional characters, made them look better for 8 Deluxe, I'm sold. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's main issue is just the roster at this point. And I feel like with the DLC expansion with the courses, they could definitely throw in some characters to tie in with the movie. As for the 2D Mario game, I think that, going back to what you were saying about using the movie designs, I think it'd be cool to see them in action for like one game. I'm not sure if I'd want that going forward. I'm not sure if they'd even go for that, but what do you think the gameplay will be like? This could be a discussion in itself, but, with Mario specifically, the problem with 2D Mario, because of like games like New Super Mario Bros. U, is they feel very AI generated, if you will. It doesn't feel like the levels are organic. You can easily tell they were designed on a grid. And I feel like that kind of stuff's fine for Super Mario Maker. And that's another thing. We have Super Mario Maker 2, where you can pretty much make your own Mario game. And I love Super Mario Maker 2, and I feel like it's great. I think that's the exception, because for a Super Mario Maker game, I feel like it's fine to have the Mario structure that we've come to know and love. But do you think that... I think that for a 2D Mario game now, it'd have to be more organic, have more food, or not food, features like Rayman Legends and Origins, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze and Returns, just basic features from modern 2D platformers, no lives, a better move set, maybe a different art style.
I think that we might see a different art style just because New Super Mario Bros. Is so old. What that art style is, I have no idea. But in terms of gameplay structure, I think it's going to be classic 2D Mario. With that being said, that's not to say I don't think they're going to keep like the live system or like the timer or other things that should be considered quality of life updates. However, the grid-like structure of Mario games, I think will still be there, but I think there will be some enhancements to it. So I think there will be context to the levels that you're playing in, rather than, I don't know, let's say you're in a desert world and for some reason there's a snow level. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I think there's going to be more context in regards to the level that you're in. And speaking about Mario Maker 2, I think a lot of the new power-ups that weren't, like, let's say in 3D World, I think those are going to make an appearance in this game too.
Oh, like the hammer?
The bullet bill. Yeah, like the hammer or like the bullet bill head thing. I mean, they're really creative power-ups, and I don't think they were just made for Mario Maker 2 in mind. And, Takashi Tezuka worked on Mario Maker 2. He's been a long-time steward of the 2D Mario franchise. I'd be shocked if he wasn't working on the next one. So I think a lot of Mario Maker 2 DNA is going to bleed over into the new 2D Mario game.
And that's a good thing, because the problem isn't the grid-like structure inherently. It's because New Super Mario Bros. U and New Super Mario Bros. 2 are just boring, for many different reasons, but the level structure, yeah, I would prefer more organic levels, but I feel like, yeah, it's not inherently bad, and they can definitely do some interesting things with it. Because we've seen many fan games have a similar structure, like the newer Super Mario Bros. Games, and they're fantastic, they're excellent. Yet they're running on the same engine of New Super Mario Bros. Wii, so imagine what they could do, Nintendo specifically, with a brand new Super 2D Mario game. And I feel like they really can't go back to New Super Mario Bros. Because, let's see, they have New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, and they have Super Mario Maker 2. So it'd be really weird to see that. But regardless, I think it'd be cool to see. I am not sure if we would get a 3D Mario game next year. We could, or actually this year, because we are in 2023, even though it's only been 2 days in. But I feel like a 2D game would be more likely, just because, 2D game isn't as taxing to make, and it'd be cool to have something to tie in with the movie. And another thing to bring up is that last year, 2022, we only got 2 Mario games. We got Mario Strikers Battle League, which we know how that turned out, and Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which was not even developed by Nintendo. That's Ubisoft right there. So we have gone quite a while without a new Mario game, so they have to be working on something. And I feel like the something we're going to get is probably going to be something truly special.
Yeah, I think so too. And, hopefully it actually comes out, because it has been a really long time since there's been a new 2D Mario game.
And it's just been a while since they've had, a Mario game developed in-house by Nintendo that was, actually good. I feel like the last one was Mario Party Superstars, which was October 2021. Wow. So, yeah, I feel like a 2D Mario game, or just any Mario tie-in game, could be likely. I don't think they'll tie in a game like Mario Party or a spin-off or something like that. But there is a Mario spin-off that just feels all the more confirmed because Sega had a listing for a job application for a Sonic at the Olympic Games game for the Switch. And this is probably going to be none other than Mario and Sonic at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. This is not really that surprising. I understand why they skipped the Winter Olympics because, let's see, they haven't done that since 2014. And also, with the 2018 Olympics, they didn't have the rights. 2022, yeah, they wouldn't want to touch that one with a 10-foot pole. But with 2024, I understand why they probably want to make it. And I will say it's going to be interesting seeing Mario and Sonic and friends in Paris. Because Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympics was not that great of a game, but I love the location being Rio de Janeiro. I felt it was far more interesting seeing the Mario characters there than somewhere like Tokyo. It was still kind of cool, but, you know, you have Super Mario Odyssey, you have all kinds of games that have, you know, the theming of Japan, and it's cool, but I like seeing something out of the ordinary, so seeing the Paris theming, we got a glimpse of it in Mario Kart. That'd be cool. I think it's going to be more in line with Tokyo 2020 in the sense of it's good or decent, but it's not going to be as good as London 2012. But here's the thing. Why do we need so many Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games things? Are these games really that revered? I don't understand why they can't actually make a proper Mario and Sonic crossover.
I don't give a crap about Mario and Sonic at the Olympics, so there's my opinion on that.
You think it's going to happen, though?
Yeah, I guess so. It's not like I'm going to get it.
Well, your brother's probably going to want it, and then you'll end up having it like Yoshi's Crafted World. But the thing is, even then, Mario and Rabbids, the Mario and Rabbids crossovers are incredible. So I don't understand why we can have an actual insanely good crossover game with the Rabbids, but not a proper Mario and Sonic. Do you know the reason why? Because I know you're far more into Sonic than I am.
The reason why what?
There hasn't been a proper crossover, and it's just limited to the Olympics.
Well, from what I've seen in interviews, it's because they can't figure out what genre of game they want them to be in, and also they can't figure out the gameplay.
I feel
the reason why they're together.
I feel like they could have done something like that. Like, they could replace the Rabbids and Sparks of Hope with Sonic characters, and I feel like that would be an excellent game. I know they wouldn't copy the game for a Mario and Sonic crossover, but if they went for an RPG or something, that'd be really cool. Or a platformer.
I can see that working.
I don't understand why they feel the need to make these minigame compilations as long as they have been. It's almost been 20 years. 2008 or 2007, whenever it released. I don't even know if they sell that well, but it's not surprising. It might be good.
I think it's going to happen too, just because Sonic Team's head Takashi Iizuka said to expect a lot more Sonic news in 2023. So, I mean, if anyone was going to talk about a Mario and Sonic game at the Olympics, it'd probably be, the people from Sonic. So, I'd say expect it. I'm not excited for it though.
I'll see. Hopefully, if it's like London 2012, I hope it is, then that would be kind of exciting, but if it's more like Tokyo 2020, it's whatever, but I expected it. But I know you had a prediction for a Mario sports game that I don't see coming, but I'd like to hear you elaborate on it. We already got most of the major sports. But there's one.
Yeah, so I actually have. Actually, there's two.
Two?
So, yeah. So there's the more obvious one, I think, is another Mario Sluggers game. Namco and Nintendo have a great relationship with each other. I think this is the more likely one, and unfortunately, I do think it's going to follow the free update model, just because all of the Mario sports games have. So I wouldn't be surprised. The other prediction I have is if it's not Mario Sluggers, I think we might be in for either a new Mario Hoops game or another Mario Sports Mix type game. The only reason I say this is because it's been such a long time since we've seen a Mario basketball game, and I think now is the best time to bring it back, just especially because really, there's only been one centric Mario basketball game, and it was on the DS. It's such a great game too. The only problem is that Square Enix developed both Mario Hoops 3 on 3 and also Mario Sports Mix. Would they be developing this game for Nintendo? It's possible, but I feel like Namco is more of a likely candidate to do a new Mario Sluggers. But what's your opinion on this?
So, I don't think either of them would happen, and I'll tell you why. The reason we got Mario Strikers Battle League is because people were clamoring for a new Strikers game. There was a lot of demand for it, but I really haven't seen the same for Mario Sluggers or Mario Hoops 3 on 3. Maybe that one a little more. Don't get me wrong, those games are excellent, but I don't feel like Nintendo would go back to those series per se. They could, but I can guarantee you one thing, if they're gonna happen, they're gonna suck. And you're gonna get more angry videos from me. Because it doesn't matter if the developers are Next Level Games or Camelot, because the sports games have consistently just been awful. But I do predict that, you know, the Mario and Sonic at the Mario and Sonic at the Paris 2024 Olympics is probably going to be the one that happens. But if they were to do one of those sports games that you suggested, I would probably say Sluggers would be more likely. But it'd just be nice to get just one good Mario sports game on the Switch, but I'm not counting on it.
Well, I think we are going to get a Mario sports game. I'm hoping it's another Mario Hoops game. I love Mario Hoops 3 on 3, and I hope that it doesn't follow the free update model. But if we don't get a Mario sports game this year, yeah, I'm not going to cry about it. It's not like I bought either of the ones that have come out in the past.
Well, as long as it's good, I hope we can get something like that. But considering the track record, I don't expect that to happen. But that covers it for the Mario games. There are some other predictions we have, and really the only ones that I have set in stone are Mario and Sonic at the Paris 2024 Olympics, the Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Pikmin 4, and Fire Emblem games, new Mario movie tie-in game, and there's one more that I think you and I can agree on. And this is something that is going to make me riot when it does happen. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC. There's no doubt that they're going to go for something like that. There's already an announcement that there are some new Pokemon from designers and stuff. And I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be paid DLC, and I'm going to be pissed. Because I find it to be in such poor taste to release a game that is very woefully unfinished and broken, and then say, oh, let's release some paid DLC for it. But I think it's going to happen regardless, because if it's Pokemon, as long as you ignore the problems and ignore the graphics, then it's perfect. Maybe if I ignore the damn game, then I'll be happy.
Well, I actually have some predictions with that too, now that you talk about that. So, first off, Sword and Shield had DLC, I think the year after. Am I correct or am I incorrect?
Yeah, you're correct. There were two waves. There was the Crown Tundra and Isle of Armor, I think. I didn't get either of them.
Okay.
But they were generally well received, I think.
Okay, so there's precedent for Pokemon DLC. I think that's going to happen. However, I don't think that's the only Pokemon news we're going to get. I think the Scarlet and Violet DLC will come out in the summer. And I think there will be a new Pokemon remake this winter. What will it be? Dimitri, you'd probably know better than I, but I think maybe another Pokemon Let's Go game with a new gen. I'm not a Pokemon fan, so I'm just, spitballing here, but I think a Pokemon remake seems very likely.
They've been talking about remakes or some Kalos thing, which is Generation 6, Pokemon X and Y. So that could be a remake that they do. I feel like the reason why they'd skip Unova with Pokemon Black and White 2 is because there are sequels, and considering that Game Freak doesn't really like to work on their games that much anymore, and same goes for Ilka, they'll probably just go the easy route and go Gen 6, maybe remake that. Maybe Kalos will be the DLC, but either way, it doesn't matter what it is to me, because, like I said in the review, there were moments of Scarlet and Violet where I had fun, but, after I beat the game, I just was like, you know what? I've had enough. And no DLC will drag me back into the game. But I do think it's going to happen.
Well,
as for a new game, I think maybe. We saw that they're not past making 3 mainline games within the span of a year, so yeah, I would say that it's likelier to happen than it is not to, but I feel like the DLC's a given. The remake, a little less likely.
All right, well, let's move on to a prediction of mine. I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like this one's been a long time coming. It's not really a major franchise, but I think it should be. Mr. Sakurai recently hinted towards slyly. He didn't really hint towards it, but he made like a sly comment saying like, "Boy, wouldn't it be nice to have an HD port of Kid Icarus Uprising?" So I'm gonna look into that when I really shouldn't and say that I think Sakurai is bringing us an HD port of Kid Icarus Uprising to the Switch. There was also recently a listing from Bandai Namco and Nintendo in conjunction with them for an open position saying that they're working on a 3D action game. And Namco actually did work with Sakurai on the Super Smash Brothers games. So, because Sora, his company went defunct, right? I would say Bandai Namco is the developer to take on the remake. And I've never played the game. I've heard like various things about the control scheme. This would be a great way to recontextualize how the game plays with a more traditional control scheme and let those who haven't played it before play it. But what do you think?
You know what? There have been times with Sakurai stuff, like, where people look at it too deeply. He had yellow and purple chairs in the background of One Direct, and then fans were saying, Wario and Waluigi, that's a reference to Waluigi being in Smash! Now, that's just silly stuff, but if he says something along the lines of, would be nice to play it on a console, I think that is a very noticeable hint that, yeah, something's probably coming, and it's coming from Sakurai himself, so this I think is likely. I think it'd be very cool to see. They would have to remake the graphics and such, because it's a 3DS game, and those are at a resolution of 240p, but if it's a remake with beautiful graphics and a control scheme of a modern controller, oh my gosh, that sounds so good. And the fact that it's likely to happen, I am very excited just by that idea.
Yeah,
and I think it's likely.
I think so too, and I think it's going to be a full-on remake. And I think Sakurai doesn't hold back. And I don't think he's ever done a remake before. So I think this is my prediction. I think he's going to remake the game. He's going to add quality of life stuff. But I also think he's going to add a new mode to it. You know how Sakurai is with his modes. I think he's going to add a completely new story mode to it for those who have already played the game already to incentivize them to buy it again. But I think it's going to be remade from the ground up. The graphics are going to look beautiful. The control scheme is going to be different. And there's going to be quality of life improvements in various places. So, yeah, this is one that I think is actually going to come. And I actually will predict the next Nintendo Direct that we have, it will open with this.
That'd be a cool opening. And being Greek myself, I love ancient Greece, and I love things themed around it. I just love Greece in any video games. I love Greece, period. I want to live there. But, yeah, that would be amazing. And I'm looking forward to it. And the fact, like I said, that it's likely, I already have a smile on my face. But moving on to the next game, this is something that has been announced, and I think it's finished. They just got to release it. They're probably going to do the Advance Wars 1 and 2 reboot camp. Feel like now they could release it. They didn't release it at the time because of the circumstances, but, you know, you gotta release the game somehow, because passionate developers have worked on it, they want their game out, and really, they had no control over what happened with those circumstances. They had nothing to do with it. That had nothing to do with the game! But that is going to happen. I feel like this is the year. And I think for a final prediction, I think you know what it is, but go on to that before we head into that territory.
Well, I was just going to make kind of a prediction, kind of a want. I want either a new 2D Zelda or a remake of the Oracle games. I wasn't very happy with the Link's Awakening remake. I know, the Switch isn't the most powerful console, but the fact that the game ran at like 30 frames per second or less with like constant frame rate drops, it was kind of disappointing to me. It kind of happened to me. Yeah, I played it in handheld mode mostly, but in docked mode, I didn't like the smearing of the edges either. Um, I don't know. It wasn't as great as Link Between Worlds, and I played the original Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, and I wasn't crazy about it there either. But I thought there would be more quality of life improvements besides like button mapping
It's a very
that
one-on-one
would like
remake.
yeah, it's very one to one. I thought there would be more added, but whatever. I would really like personally, I would really like a brand new 2D Zelda, but I feel like what we're gonna get are the Oracle remakes. Maybe what they'll do is like combine both Oracle games into one game, and maybe not one to one, but like take some liberties with some of it as well. I don't doubt that they're not going to use the Link's Awakening engine for it, but we'll see. But
Yeah, it's been a while since Grezzo
yeah,
made a game. I think Metopia was the last one.
and I will add one last prediction before we go into the big boy. Wario Land. I'm just gonna put it out there. I kind of don't think it's gonna happen, but I want to put it out there just to see if maybe the universe will listen to us.
You know
'Cause
what? I don't think it's gonna happen, but if you can summon it, that'd be great. Because I would love a new Wario Land so much.
Yeah, I really I really want it to happen. Do I think it's gonna happen? I don't know. I mean, the question is who would develop it? I mean, if we're being serious, here's what I think is actually going to happen. Goodfeel has not worked on anything since Yoshi's Crafted World,
Oh, that's
right?
interesting you brought them up, because we haven't seen anything in quite some time.
Exactly.
Unless they're
Exactly.
working on a new 2D Mario game.
That would be awesome. But the only remake they've ever done is Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn. What I think they may be doing, this is my prediction. This isn't what I kind of want, but this is what I think they're doing. We're going to see a Wario Land Shake It HD remake or remaster. And it's going to look beautiful. I mean, everything's hand drawn, but on the Wii, some things don't look that great, but on the Switch, man, it would look awesome. I think they're going to add some quality of life improvements, but not add much. Shake It is not one of my favorite games in the franchise, but, I think considering that the game didn't really set the world on fire when it first came out, and considering that Goodfeel, isn't really working on anything right now, I think a Wario Land Shake It remake or remaster could be likely. Maybe not, but I'm just gonna put it out there.
I would say, if anything, they would remake Virtual Boy Wario Land and call it Wario Land Return to the Awazon. Something like that, but I don't think it's likely at all.
That'd be
So,
awesome.
in the meantime, we got Anton Blast. Thanks, Star Chronics, once
Yes.
again. But I feel like now is the time to bring out the banana. The big prediction. The new Donkey Kong game. The Kongs have a heavy role in the Mario movie. We've seen many Kongs in the background. And I feel like now is the time that they're going to finally release a new Donkey Kong game. I don't feel like it's a matter of if. I feel like it's a matter of when. As in terms of if it'll be this year, I don't think so. But I think there's a slight chance. As to what it'll be, well, I'd like to hear if you think it's going to happen this year before we get into that.
Well, I'm actually right on par with what you think. I don't know if it's going to happen this year. I know that it's probably going to happen just because the push that they've been doing for Donkey Kong has been interesting, to say the least. I know you think this is very insignificant, but the fact that Miyamoto had to bring up in the second Mario movie direct that it's been 40 years since Donkey Kong came out, and this is the first time they've been giving him a redesign. I mean, they never really focus on Donkey Kong ever, unless we're talking about Sakurai talking about his hair texture.
The facial animations of Donkey Kong.
Yeah. But the fact that Miyamoto's acknowledging that it's been 40 years since Donkey Kong came out,
Dude,
I don't know. I feel like that's significant.
That is such a minuscule thing compared to the role of the Kongs in the Mario movie, the theme park. Oh, the theme park role in the movie No, the most concrete evidence is Miyamoto saying it's been 40 years. Come on, man.
Well, I mean, everybody knows that information. I'm just pointing out some other minuscule stuff to boot
I
off
don't
of
think that meant
But
anything, but I do think a new
I
game's coming soon.
well, the only reason I bring it up is because Nintendo doesn't acknowledge anything Donkey Kong.
Yeah,
So
which is a shame.
the fact that one of the big faces of Nintendo brought it up in a big direct like that, that tells me, I mean, it could be very minuscule, but along with what you just mentioned, it tells me that they're pushing for Donkey Kong big time. Now, do I think it's going to come out 2023? Maybe, maybe not. It's hard to tell. And, you know, I think, should we talk about what we think it's going to be?
I think so. I think that, with Donkey Kong specifically, considering it's been so long since the last game, and considering how much they're pushing for it, they gotta go for a 3D adventure game. It's been a very long time
Yeah.
since Donkey Kong had a 3D game. I'm actually one of the few who like Donkey Kong 64, but there's definitely a lot of room for improvement. And I feel like they're gonna go for a 3D platformer. And, as much as I would like Donkey Kong Country 4, Kitty Conquers the World, I don't think it's going to happen. And speaking of that, I recently did a poll asking, you can get an anticipated Nintendo game, but there's a catch. Which would you choose? New Donkey Kong, but it's Kitty Kong as the main character. That got only 25% of the votes. The one that actually won that is a new 2D Mario, but it's more New Super Mario Brothers. And I gotta say, in that poll, there was only one right answer. There was only one right answer. A new Donkey Kong with Kitty Kong as the protagonist. The only thing that would be wrong with it is if you don't like Kitty Kong. There's nothing wrong with Kitty Kong. He's a great character. I don't understand why he gets so much hate. He's the only baby character in Nintendo history done right.
Well, you and 25% of people on the poll agree with that. There were 75% of us will go and laugh at you.
I don't know what it is with you and Kitty Kong. Why don't you like him?
I just don't like him. I don't think he's a very good character.
Well, they really needed to give him a chance, but how could you not like him? They really just... Let me just defend Kitty Kong before we get into any more predictions. For one, they got the baby character right. They actually made the baby humongous. Like, he's a giant baby. He doesn't always cry either, just when you get hit, and it's only like, it's nothing compared to Baby Mario and Yoshi's Island. And he's a funny character. He has a funny design. He's a good Kong. It brings variety to the games. And I hope to see him back.
I disagree.
And he's in the Mario movie, so I'm hoping that that's him. I'm very excited for the future. I hope that one day we can play as Kitty Kong once again, since 2005's remake of Donkey Kong Country 3 on the Game Boy Advance.
Well, let's not talk about Kitty Kong anymore. Let's talk about what we think this new Donkey Kong game is going to be. You mentioned a 3D action game, and I think this is along the lines of what I think. Now, you know us, we don't like rumors or leaks or anything. However, if something persists for a long time, like, for example, Mario and Rabbids was a rumor that was going on for such a long time that eventually it just seemed like it was bound to happen. Well, there's the rumor that we're referring to is that Nintendo EPD is developing the game, basically the Super Mario Odyssey team. And the precedent of them making a new 3D Donkey Kong game is very exciting, because the last time they worked on anything Donkey Kong was Jungle Beat. And I wanted to say, I think we might see some Jungle Beat DNA in here, but I also think we're going to see a lot of love towards the country games, because in Super Mario Odyssey, New Donk City, there was a whole bunch of Donkey Kong references, and not just the original Donkey Kong, but a whole bunch of country references, really deep country references. Like, most of the Kongs had their own avenues, most of the animal buddies. It was pretty cool. What do you think about that?
I think that's definitely going to happen, and I did mention in the podcast with Uncle Al about the Jungle Beat DNA. I think we're going to see that, where the Kongs are a lot more animated. And I feel like since they're in the movie, they're really going to embrace the Kongs. I mean, if you got Swanky Kong and Kitty Kong, I think they'll go all out for a game. But I don't
Yeah,
think it's going to be coming out this year. If anything, I think it's more likely for next year. And what I think,
yeah.
and if you've noticed, these predictions are a bit paltry. It doesn't seem like much of a year for Nintendo. Well, there's a reason for that. I think that this is going to be the last year for the Switch. I feel like this is going to be the grand finale for the system, and we should start looking forward to new hardware going into next year.
I agree. I think things have significantly slowed down. There was something that came out a while ago. I forgot, Digital Foundry, who do a lot of gaming things. They're really great. You should check them out.
Oh, I watched
But
them.
yeah,
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet thing was great.
they basically said whatever the Switch Pro was canceled. So that leads me to believe that a next gen Switch is coming. And the reason I say it's a next gen Switch is because I think Nintendo has struck gold here. I don't think they're going to revise the concept for a good while. I think what's going to happen is that they're going to follow PlayStation and Xbox's model and just keep iterating on the same idea.
I think so
They
too.
struck gold. Yeah, and I think whatever this new Switch is, it's just going to iterate, you know? I think personally, and I know that you disagree with me, I think dual screens would be cool. I do miss, I was playing my DS and my 3DS the other day, and I do miss the comfort of having another screen there, whether it be for inventory or like an extra map. It's very small things like that, but I
How
was
would it
also
work in TV
thinking,
mode, though?
well, I'm no game engineer, so they would have to figure that out. But if there's a way where you can make a dual screen Switch work while also making it maybe detachable so that not every game is dual screens, that would be really cool. And I could see a situation where it's like, let's say you're playing in the future Mario Odyssey 2 and there's multiplayer. You could detach one of your dual screens to a friend, put your one screen in a dock, and you guys could play multiplayer and not have to play on the same screen and collect moons.
It sounds
I
like an
mean,
interesting concept, and yeah, I don't like dual screens in games that much because oftentimes they're utilized poorly, similar to motion controls, although I do like motion controls more. I feel like with games like
yeah,
Yoshi's Island DS, it utilized it poorly. There are other examples and such. I just prefer having one screen. That way the game can look better. It's automatically going to be
I
in a
I
landscape
agree.
orientation. And, going
Yeah,
on from that, I just think that the next gen Switch will be exactly that. I think it's going to be a more powerful Switch with some new features, but it's going to be backwards compatible. And a lot of the games for it will be backwards compatible with the old Switch, sort of like the Game Boy Color, where you'd have the black cartridges, which can be played on the original Game Boy, but will be enhanced on the Game Boy Color. So let's say there are certain
I do.
cartridges for the Switch 2. You could play those on the Switch 1, but also on the 2. But there will be exclusive games to it, and I feel like we'll get a lot more of those as the lifetime of that system progresses. But I feel like it's just imminent for new hardware.
I do hope that whatever the next Switch is, it doesn't have to do 4K, but at least 1080p.
They
And
gotta do
most of the
4K.
games, they gotta. I mean, if they don't do real 4K, I think they'll do fake 4K. I mean, there's been deep learning super sampling that has been done in other games and other consoles. I think Nintendo could possibly go for that, and if they do that, it'll be 1440p.
The thing
But
is, we're not in the
what I'm
early
what I'm
2010s
real
anymore, so 4K has gotten a lot more affordable, so it'd just be insane not to have it.
well, it would be cool to see a 4K, Nintendo console, but I'm not even worried about the 4K stuff. What I really want are 60 frames per second games. I could care less if the game is 4K or not. I could go for 1080p, but if the game isn't running at 60 frames nowadays, like it bothers me. I remember playing Kirby Star Allies, and the first thing I noticed was that the game was super choppy compared to any other Kirby game I ever played.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well, and I agree with you there. Frame rate will make or break a game. It's pretty much at this point 60 frames or bust. Most cases,
Yeah,
because there are some games that, there are 30 frames per second. A lot of Nintendo's recent games, for some reason, are like Kirby and the Forgotten Land, but that doesn't stop me from loving the game. But if there are
Yeah.
60 frame options, like if it's a multi-platform game, I'm not going to get the one that runs in 30 frames per second. I'm going to get the 60 frames. It's just a smoother experience, like Sonic Frontiers, for example. But
Oh my God, yeah.
I will like to end things off by asking the question: if this year consists of Mario and Sonic at the Paris 2024 Olympics, the new Mario movie tie-in game, Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, Fire Emblem Engaged, Pikmin 4, and the Kid Icarus port, will you consider that a good year for the Switch? Because I will say that the quality isn't that high. I mean, the quantity isn't that high, but there is a lot of quality. I feel like with
I
2022, there has been a huge quantity of games, but it's been super mixed. But these all sound very quality and very plausible as well.
I would say so. And I forgot this one last prediction. This is very small. It's nothing, major, but I think a new entry in the Mario Party series would be cool.
That'd be cool,
Um,
but we already got
and I
Superstars. I don't know why they didn't do DLC for that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna follow in the steps of Superstars, but it'll be a brand new Mario Party game. Basically what Super Mario Party should have been. But with that said, I think based on what we predicted, that would be a really great year for Nintendo. But with all things Nintendo, you never know what this company's going to do. I'm not going to put 100% of my faith in anything that we predicted today, just because I think we've been super certain before on certain things, and we've oftentimes been wrong. And
Well, we're just
the only
doing this
thing I
for
think I'm
fun.
going to put,
It's just
yeah,
speculation.
of course. The only thing I'm going to put that I'd probably put money on, if I had to guess, would probably be I would probably have to say the Kid Icarus port.
I
I
would
think
say
there's a
Mario and
lot of
Sonic.
yeah, but meh. I would say the Kid Icarus port is really because there's a lot of evidence coming out nowadays. Right now, I think the time is right for Kid Icarus this year. I don't think there's going to be, besides Mario, Donkey Kong, and Zelda, a lot more big first party IPs. So, Pikmin 4. So, I mean, I think now is the right time to do it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But, I think the last question is when do you see this direct happening? Because I see it happening in January because, well, the next Kirby game remake comes out in February.
Now they're probably going to do it in February. But I think most of this is plausible. I feel like if this was the year we got and everything was high quality, this would be a dang good finale. And they'd really go out with a bang. But I think this wraps things up from here. But did you have any other predictions and such? Or what you have so far, you pretty much are like set in stone with?
I think I'm pretty much set in stone. I don't want to be that guy and say Metroid Prime remake trilogy,
Hey, if you guess it
but
enough,
I
it's going to
mean,
happen.
I mean, it might happen. But one thing I think we will see this year, not in terms of it coming out this year, but I think in terms of teasing, right?
Oh,
I
that's right.
think I think we're gonna get our first look, and not just Metroid Prime 4, but at Super Mario Odyssey 2, or whatever the next 3D Mario game is. Again, this doesn't mean it will come out in 2023. I think both of these games will come out in 2024 as a launch title for the next Switch. But I think this is the year we're finally going to take a look at it. I think they're going to say, listen, we know it's been a long time since we've seen anything from Metroid Prime 4 or Mario Odyssey 2. We're sorry, but as a consolation, we need more time. Here's your first look at what you can expect.
That would be cool. I don't know if it would happen. I think that maybe we could see new hardware revealed this year. I mean, if they're going to release it next year, probably. And I feel like
Yeah.
Metroid Prime 4, that would be one of the games that's for the Switch, but also the next gen Switch. But yeah, feel like this wraps it up on my end. Anything else?
Yeah, it wraps it up on uh not really. I mean, most of the rest of it is like wants, but yeah, I think that about wraps it up on my end too.
Well, give your wish list to Santa, but in the meantime, one more prediction I have, they're going to put some shovelware on Nintendo Switch Online.
Oh,
So
that's not a
anyways,
prediction. That's a
guys,
guaranteed fact.
I'm a credible insider now. I'm credible insider Demeech,
And I'm credible insider TND.
and keep calm and dada on. TND Metroid Prime Trilogy is coming. Let's convince everyone that it's coming. They're gonna trust us.
Oh my god!
The ice climbers!